Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. I totally did that backwards. And welcome to another episode of Excess Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Xander Skullion, and joining with me is my wonderful co-host, Mr. James Gruesome. What's up, James?
Greetings and salutations. I mean, it might not be backwards depending on what time zone you're in.
True.
You never really know. But I hope you all are doing well. I hope you're having a good late Halloween. Maybe you're still celebrating because it seemed like it just went by so fast. Or maybe you're embracing Thanksgiving, or maybe even Christmas because there's been lots of Christmas lights and stuff up. But hey, man, I'm not hating. Do what you got to do to make yourself happy, I think, right now.
Indeed. And yeah, the holidays are already here. I feel like last week was April, and then we all woke up and like, oh shit, there's Christmas lights out. Okay. I mean, this year's been very, very long and dreary, so I'm all about some holiday cheer and stuff like that. And speaking of cheer, there's a lot to cheer about this week because we are officially into the new gen. The Xbox Series X came out last week, and the PS5 had just came out on Friday. And it's had some mixed reviews, some mixed results, but overall, folks have been really, really happy about it. James, do you know anybody personally yet who has a new console?
No. I know a few people that ordered some, had some on the way. No one I've actually talked to yet that has physically, gotten one. I mean, it's so weird though. Like to me, it's almost, and maybe because it has been because of the year, just everything has been just kind of dire and crazy, and it's like suddenly it's like new video game systems.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many other things going on. Like, I don't really know. It's a big investment at this time, too, when a lot of people are hurting for money. But, I mean, more power to you. Like, I have no problem, dude. Like, if anybody can get one and you enjoy it, it makes you happy, like, I have no issue with that. I really hope they all work. It's like you hear many things going on. I just want people to have, like, a good product that is reliable. But we all know with those, first buys many times, like, there are issues that need to be worked out, but I'm thinking with everything going on, if there are any issues, honestly, these companies are more than likely, I think 99% going to take care of it because they just don't want to deal with any bad crap with all the other bad crap going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of folks that I know online that's had one. My friend Mikkel, he has a Series X and he has a PS5. He recently made some videos, like unboxing videos, and some YouTubers that I watch have already gotten the consoles as well. And I mean, it is a very weird console launch because sometimes it doesn't feel like we have new consoles. Like I have to remind myself, wow, there's a new Sony PlayStation out there, a new Series X, a new Xbox. And I think the main thing that people have been kind of talking about is, of course, the same thing that everyone talks about when you get a brand new console. They have it, but there's not a whole lot they can do with it yet. PS5, I know folks that are playing Miles Morales. Our friend Sean Long, I believe he's already beaten Miles Morales. He got it, and he's putting down a review for that. RGT85. Also, my friend Mikkel, he's been streaming. I think he's going to be streaming Dark Souls soon. And then JKB, Jason Hooft, I've been talking to him a lot about the new next-gen consoles, or current gen now, and he actually had a problem with this PS5. His PS5, he got the one with the disk drive, and it's just making this really loud buzzing sound, and it crashed on him a couple times. So he's on the process of now sending his console back to Sony, and that's horrible. I have to say there's a lot of people, and maybe it's because people are hurting for money, but I've seen a lot more animosity online from people not having the new consoles yet that are kind of excited. I hate to say this, they're kind of excited that stuff's going wrong for some of these people. They're like, oh, well, this is why I don't buy a console on launch. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, dude, don't be that way. Don't be that person. No,
I mean, that's the one. And that is the price you pay unless since you're getting it launched. Like I said, many people are going to have great experiences. I kind of wish they'd have a better method to where the person could maybe just get a new one from a store. They could reimburse them instead of them having to wait. To me, that's really just bullshit, man. You get one day one. I'm sorry, you should not have to wait. I mean, who knows? This guy could be waiting at least a month. I mean, and who knows? Maybe if they get his system in, they'll send him a new one out right away. But that's still a long process. And like I said, it is a really big investment at this time. Hopefully some people got on some of those payment plan deals with the Xbox, which I still think is great. And I've heard GameStop is still going to be honoring that lots, through the holidays. People can still get on that. And there's lots of misinformation about it. I mean, it's really, there is no interest to it, because it adds in the Ultimate Game Pass. It's $15 a month. You get 2 years. It's $360, paying $480 for the system. It adds out to 800 something, yes, but you're also only paying like $35 a month. And I think that's a really great deal that they're just wanting, to get those in people's hands. But at the same time, too, you want a good experience. And just, I really hope these bad ones are few and far between. And on the good side, if you can't get a new one right now, I mean, lots of these games are going to be playable on both systems. We're still going to get good stuff on these other ones. It's not like this now past generation has ended. PS4, Xbox, like they're still going to end up having games. Like the lifespan always is pretty insane, to me with a lot of these systems.
Yeah, and we'll get into that when we celebrate the PS4 talk, because I do want to say for those folks who haven't jumped on the current gen, there are people out there who do not have a PS4 or Xbox One. Now's the time to do it. I mean, there's probably going to be plenty of Black Friday sales for things like the PS4 Pro or Xbox Series X, and not to mention there's over 7 years worth of a catalog of games that you can get. There's just so much to play. Now, I do have some gaming news, and this regards to the PS5 with Walmart. Walmart PS5 stock is gone after 4 hectic release day restocks. It says, and this is an update from the article. This is from GameSpot.com. Walmart's PS5 stock is now completely gone after retail offered 4 different restocks on November 12th. The console's release day, while most stores restock night at midnight Eastern time on launch day, Walmart offered 4 different time slots throughout the day on Thursday at 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. Eastern time. Each one sold out within minutes. Even on the page, refreshing rate at the restock led to site crashes, slow loading, and the inability to actually add the console to your cart when the button appeared. If you managed to secure a PS5 during one of those time stocks, congrats. You didn't, and you're not alone, and we feel your pain. If you're looking to buy a PS5, your next best chance will be during Black Friday 2020. Walmart plans to restock the console online. Then GameStop stores will have a minimum of 2 PS5 units per location, and we expect other stores to restock the PS5 during Black Friday, as well continue to track the availability on the PS5 buying guide. Man, it's here. That's all I got to say. It's here.
2 per store.
Oh my God, that's insane. And that kind of goes back to a story that I want to talk about, because I got the new Yakuza Like a Dragon, and it was funny because we have listeners who like physical and digital media, and some folks are more pro digital, some folks are more pro physical. And the thing is I remember I called GameStop because I didn't want to waste the time going down there and getting Like a Dragon. I was like, hey, do you guys have Yakuza Like a Dragon in stock? Because it just came out. And the guy checks and he's like, I don't have it right now. I should be getting it at 3 o'clock. Now, mind you, I had to be at work at 4. I'm calling at like 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And he was like, yeah, when we get in, we could hold it for you. You can come by and pick it up. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's not necessary. I was just checking to see if you guys had it before I went out, blah, blah, blah. I ended up buying it digital, which I've never bought a Yakuza game digital, other than Dead Souls, because that was like $5, and I don't really like that game too much.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I honestly was just like, I'm going to buy it digital. And the thing is, I'm seeing a lot of people this generation from listening to the various podcasts and then being like, you know what, I really don't want to get a physical copy of stuff. I kind of just want digital. Like, we're starting to see that a little bit more this generation.
I mean, I could put it, because I'd talk to you about it too, because I also got Like a Dragon. And it's not my first digital purchase, as I got, Yakuza 5 on PS3. And that was the only way to get that at that time. So that was the first digital one. I also have them all on PlayStation. But, with this one coming out, like I opted also having, the game share, which I said, which is kind of kind of ruled my life. That really made me cross over to the digital side, like using that. It's just so many bonuses with it, having to be able to like have and play the game. Like, it's awesome. So I jumped on it that way, so I too went digital. I did check to see if there was any special editions, because Yakuza 6 had that great set with the glasses.
Yeah, I think all they had was like a steel book and like some art. I think they did something like that. I don't think it was something too crazy.
I don't give a shit about a steel book. Like, I really don't. Like, I need some, like, trinkets and shit like that. Like that's what I really need. And it was a lot of costume sets, and the extra content was all costumes, couple jobs, and this stuff you could get digitally. Like, and it was like $90, and I was like, no, I got the standard $60 version myself.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that's what I've always liked about Yakuza, like, collector's editions, is they always felt like gentlemen's collector's editions. It's like, oh, pre-order this and you get like a Toho like business card, or you get a freaking like shot glasses and stuff like that. Like, I always felt like their special editions were just very, very personable. That's what I really liked about them.
They would, and actually, as you said, like, they're even classier because it's not even a shot glass. It's actually like a drinking glass. You have to savor it,
They put some scotch in there,
chug it down, but they're like, no, savor this, because you're an adult.
Which that's what I did. And we'll get into some Yakuza talk when we talk about games we've been playing. But I will say, like, that day, like, I told my girlfriend, I told the kids, I'm like, today, it was a Friday, I was off that day, and I'm like, I don't want to do anything but play this game. I was like, you guys do your chores, you guys do what you need to do not bother me. And that night before, I went and bought like 2 things of pumpkin donut holes. I was stocked on coffee, and it was really, really good. But
see, just ready to go on that.
Yeah,
I actually have a little bit of news myself too, with some wrestling things going on.
Oh yeah, talk about that.
Well, I mean, recently had the AEW pay-per-view. This one was Full Gear, and they're always good. I always get their pay-per-views. I don't keep up with the show. I listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts and kind of follow it. Like, I don't have cable. It's just a pain to try to find it on YouTube and stuff. So I keep up with that way, but I do get the pay-per-views, and they still charge $50. I mean, they only have 4 a year, but I could say, like, I'm usually not disappointed. It's still, like, hang out with a couple of my friends. We're fairly distanced on the couch. It's always the same 3 friends, and we're pretty trustworthy with each other, so I think we're okay. But and never really disappointed in the pay-per-views. But AEW recently had like a little announcement with their game, and it's something we've been hearing about. Of course, a lot of the executive vice presidents of the company itself, being the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, are huge gaming fans. Especially Kenny, always,
and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is a huge gamer.
Yeah, I mean, you have Omega, with the Final Fantasy gear. One Wing Angel is his finishing move. He's kind of like on the team. One of their referees, Aubrey Edwards, she actually used to work for some game companies in some format. I don't know if it was like mobile games. She did something, but either way, they're on the team. More importantly, though, they have Ukes developing this game. Who have done about 30 different wrestling games. They were in the heyday of WWE with the SmackDown, which are much beloved. And they finally dropped off in this last game that WWE put out was terrible as far as the 2K. And I think even Yuxa maybe had worn themselves a little bit thin at that point. But also, they have Hideyuki Iwashita, who was the director of No Mercy, and also Def Jam Vendetta, and he was a producer on the Fight for New York. So they have Ukes, who's done many, many great wrestling games, and they have the director of No Mercy, which everybody loves. That's all everybody wants, and everybody's hoping this game is going to be. They've just had a couple of shots so far. Some of it's been knocked for looking a bit too cartoony. But, I mean, if they're catering to the No Mercy fans, No Mercy was never known for its graphics.
Yeah.
The gameplay.
Yeah, those games were always more like I don't want to say arcade because, like, it wasn't just button mashing, but it wasn't as, like, simulated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it was, and it definitely did have just a more pick up and play kind of,
Yeah.
easy to control, hard to master, but eventually you could get there. And I mean, having the director of those games, having the power and the team of Ukes behind it, I actually have a lot of faith in this game. Like I'm expecting it
I'm excited.
to be really great. And you can see like WWE with the failure of the 2K, they changed over and they had the battlegrounds, which I think is very fun, more arcadey style. And also speaking of arcadey style, Retromania, which has been talked about for over a year. It was promised back in the summer. They had pre-orders up, kept getting delayed. If you follow them on social media, like they are always getting jumped on for the constant delays of their game. But they finally have a release date of February 26th.
Nice.
And that's still a ways off, but it is the official sequel to WWF WrestleFest. They actually did get some licensing things through to be able to use that. And I mean, it looks a lot like those. I mean, you can always play those old ones on emulators, like I did recently. It was still a blast. But I'm looking forward to this. They have lots of independent wrestlers, on there. I think it's still going to be a great game. I hate it got delayed so long. Cause, I mean, they were catching so much shit. Anytime they do an update, people would just knock them. People are still mocking the date. Like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
They've caught so much hell, and they're a small team, and I think they just thought too big up front and maybe promised too much too quick. But I mean, they're trying, and they do have a date now, so I'll give them that. And hey, I'm gonna buy it when it comes out because I think it looks awesome.
Indeed, and that's a good segue to the second to last news story that I have. This one's a little could have got really scary. This is also on GameSpot.com. It says, no threat after hostage situation reported at Ubisoft Montreal headquarters. Okay, so a frightening situation at Ubisoft Montreal headquarters on Friday afternoon appears to be resolved without any injuries. Police were called in for what described as a hostage situation, prompting a large number of resources to be deployed to the area. According to the press release released on the service police department in Montreal, it was ultimately determined there was no threat, simply confirming media reports during the incident suggested police had been called as a result of a hoax. Reports of a police operation emerged on Friday, with local news stations broadcasting footage of what appeared to be Ubisoft's employees taking shelter on the roof of the company's office. And a tweet from Montreal police said it was responding to a 911 call and advised people to stay away from the area. It was later said to be no threat and begun evacuating the building. See, this is kind of scary because, I mean, we've seen a lot, and you brought this up when you were talking about the wrestling game. Of it seems to be, and this is going to be terrible to say this, it seems to be a lot of entitlement when it comes to game releases and setbacks. And we've seen a lot of stuff with Project CD Red, with Cyberpunk 2077, I believe it's called. Cyberpunk. It's been delayed so many times, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. Honestly, I tell folks that we're lucky to have anything right now. Folks are working at home, working in office in very different environments. The resources are very, very different. So games and consoles and all sorts of stuff is going to be delayed. And I hate to see that, stuff like that, like this in Ubisoft would happen. They never said in the article what it could have been, like what started it all, but I just know there's been a lot of animosity towards people and gaming delays. Project CD Red got death threats the moment they were like, hey, we're not releasing Cyberpunk till December. So, people.
It's just sad. I mean,
it really is.
It makes me, I can go back to Yakuza once again. I think like how I felt, like how long I hold it off on beating part 4. Because like, I thought I'd never get one again. And I did. I ended up getting 5, and I mean, it was awesome. But at the time, like, yes, I get it. It's heartbreaking, but these games are still coming out. I mean, damn, like if somebody like went to a place with a hostage situation because of a game delay, I mean, come on, hey, man, mental health, man.
Yeah, and don't forget, these developers are going through crunch as well. Again, like I don't know too much more about this story. It could have been something like delays, or I mean, it could have been a disgruntled employee that's been crunched and working 80 hours a week. Like we don't know yet. And the thing is like people have to remember that these game companies, these developers are people with families and outside things other than just sitting in a cubicle making a video game all day. And it's just heartbreaking to see that, these talented individuals who make these video games, this is why they retire early. This is why they get out of the business before they're 30 or 40 years old, because they get so burnt out. And it's sad. I read that and I'm like, man, that's horrible. That's freaking horrible. But getting into a better topic, and this has to do with Yakuza. Yakuza producer would like to be involved in a Sonic the Hedgehog game. He said, quote, "I would make it a completely different Sonic." RGG Studios producer Daisuke Sato has hinted that he would like to be involved with a Sonic the Hedgehog game once at least in his career. In an interview celebrating the 60 years of Sega, Sato asked what Sega's IP would be like in his hands, and it was not an easy question given the Sega's back catalog, and Sato went straight away to the company and said, Sonic. He says, an IP I haven't come to before, and in a sense I would love to try it. Well, Sonic, after all, when you hear Sega, you think of Sonic, and I would like to be involved with it at least once. And it was funny, I had a lot of people on Facebook that were sharing this story, and they were having all these different extravagant, ideas of what he would do with Sonic. They're like, yeah, it would probably be a much more darker Sonic, and it would do this. And I'm like, let's not forget this guy did Monkey Ball. I think a lot of people forget that he started out with Monkey Ball, and I was like, he could make a really good Sonic game. I mean, sure, he would want to probably do it something different than what we've seen before, but I don't think he's going to go into. I don't think he would go into Sonic trying to make it a dark, brooding, shadow-like hedgehog game. I think his personality and his sense of humor and his story writing, I think he would do a great job.
So you think both ways. Like my thoughts went to like the original form of Sonic, when you hear of how it looked, and he had this chick with like some big boobs, and he was a little bit more rough, punky looking Sonic.
Yeah,
and I got a thought with that, but like you said, like, man, Monkey Ball was such just a great, fun, bright, silly game, and I mean, it's not a far stretch, to think, that could happen, and I mean, it's very, prolific within Sega. A lot of them, he makes me think of the guy that did Double Dragon back in the day. They just kind of got this. They kind of look like dudes you wouldn't want to mess with,
Mm-hmm.
Like they look a little bit rough, man. Sometimes they make rough games, but man, I could see something great. And I mean, it's like why not have him involved? Because he is one of the more prolific characters, I think, involved in Sega now.
Which is crazy.
Helming that series for so long, I mean, that's I mean, I know they always have Sonic and stuff, but I mean that someone like me really. Sega was always alive, with Yakuza.
Yeah, and I mean, Yakuza now is the second most popular series in Sega, next to Sonic the Hedgehog, which is crazy to think. Now, I was just looking, and you know what's really funny? We're recording this on November 15th. Guess what was released on November 15th, 2013.
Man, maybe a new Sega Saturn.
No.
No?
No. November 15th, 2013 was the release of the PlayStation 4.
Damn.
Dude, we could not schedule this any better than we actually did.
I've had some really weird coincidences lately. Like the other day, even on Facebook, I posted some live Sam Hain. And it was actually on the same day I saw them play.
God, that is so funny.
Yeah, it like that blew. Like I realized that afterwards. It was like, wow. It's like it really hit some weird dates recently.
But yeah, it was released in North America November 15th, 2013, November 29th in Europe, South America, and Australia, and February 22nd, 2014 in Japan. Which is really interesting that Japan got it last. That's really interesting.
Yeah, they usually are the first.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we wanted to get into some PS4 talk. I mean, I was thinking, right after we had our Halloween episode with Ryan, I was like, what's our next topic? What could we do another episode on? And I was like, you know what, let's talk about the PS4, because, you know, PS5 is going to be out, and everyone's going to be talking about that. And, you know, PS4 was just such a special it is still a very special console, and it's still selling like crazy. And it was a console I was actually kind of late getting into. I'm trying to remember. I think you and I got our PS4s around the same time, didn't we?
Yeah, I might have gotten mine a bit earlier. I was trying to think of that myself. Like, I definitely, neither of us got it, at launch, and it might have even been a couple years later. I was thinking
Yeah, because I got
maybe,
mine. I believe I got mine 2015.
yeah, I was trying to look up with some games I had gotten, and I think that was around the time I did. It's a couple years late, but there was still, lots of good stuff out. A lot of things were cheaper. For me, I remember actually how I got my PS4. Like, I didn't want to spend the full money on it because it was still I think at that time it was still, over 300 something bucks. Might have been like 350. I got a GameStop credit card, like, just to get the system.
Oh,
But
wow.
I also didn't want to put it all on the card. I kind of wanted, to knock off a bit of price. So I actually ended up selling a bunch of my Super Nintendo games. My brother EJ, he bought quite a few off of me. Like I had some good ones. I pretty much just told him the titles I had and had him come up with like a list and price, and I went with that, which I thought was very fair. He got some stuff, cheaper than what was going for. I didn't have to deal with the hassle, selling online, and it was just very easy. And so I did that, and I offset, almost the full cost of the system. And I remember at the time, I definitely got the Mad Max game, which I know it was also on Xbox, but it was kind of like a prequel to Fury Road, and it was very fun. It had great driving in it, and I'd also gotten, damn it, it's this racing game where you just like run over people. It's pretty terrible. Something Carnage. I forget the name, but it was bad. But it kind of blew me away because it was only car, racing and running over people. But Mad Max, man, it really had the car combat and everything down. And I also got Until Dawn. Those were the first 3 games I got because I was definitely wanting to play that. I mean, Until Dawn, we see they're still coming out with, the makers of that are still coming out with games. I mean, man, that was a really awesome game that I still want to go back and play that one again. But it's a very fun little, first 3 games I got with the system.
Yeah, my first games I got The Walking Dead Season 2, and I got Grand Theft Auto 5. I didn't really play a whole lot of Grand Theft Auto 5. I played a good amount of Season 2 of Walking Dead, but I think what made me want to get the PlayStation 4, because I remember we were kind of late to the game. I remember just seeing the preview and playing the interactive demo to PT, Silent Hills by Kojima. I remember playing that and being like, oh, okay, this is going to make me want to get a PS4. This is why I want to get a PS4. And, of course, Bloodborne as well. Had Bloodborne come out, and I just remember, like, it was the first time in a while that I was excited to have a PlayStation console, because last gen I was a little bit more on the 360 side. I didn't get a PS3 until like 2012 when Ni no Kuni came out. That's what made me go like, okay, I need to get a PS3 because it was an exclusive. But other than that, I mean, I hadn't had this much fun with a PlayStation console, I want to say, since the PlayStation 2. Like, it was so freaking awesome, and some of the features blew me away. Stuff that we kind of don't even think about now because it's kind of norm, like the share button. Being able to share your game footage online, or being able to live stream. I mean, think of how many people who do live streams now, how they got their start. Many of them probably got their start using that share function on the PlayStation 4. Like being able to just go on Twitch without, having a capture card, without having all that stuff. All you'd have to have is like a headset. You wouldn't even have to have a camera unless you wanted to be on the stream. Then you can get the PlayStation 4 camera. And I mean, that was really something that at the time Microsoft and Sony knew that streaming was going to be the future. Streaming was going to be something really, really big that people would be enjoying from years to come. So I'm glad they added that feature very early on in those consoles' life cycles.
Yeah, I mean, you can really see how that changed a lot of things having that on there. I was a big fan actually of the controller too, and
Oh yeah.
I do even play a bit more Xbox, lately, and it's mainly because I have I got two HDMI plugs in the back of my TV, and it sucks. So I always have like
Yeah,
a
same.
Fire Stick plugged up, and it's like, you gotta change it out. At least the Switch, you can just I can play that in handheld.
Oh
But
man, you got the same setup I do. Like I have a Fire Stick in one HDMI port, and then I have like a rogue HDMI that just goes to whatever console I'm gonna play next.
see, I gotta climb behind the TV. I'm like, man, why haven't I not bought like a splitter at some point? But
Same.
and even though like I'm more used to playing the Xbox lately, PlayStation is still my button layout. And like you said, you were a little bit more 360. I was definitely more PlayStation, which once again goes back to Yakuza. Like when I got a new system, I was like, well, they have Yakuza 3, so I got the PlayStation 3. That was how that happened. I stuck with it. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's still my button layout. Like I remember when we'd play, my friend that had an Xbox, he used to have to translate for me. We just had a system, and he would call out the PlayStation coordinate button, and I still have that issue. And I mean, the bad thing is like it's pretty much set up like a Super NES controller, but I'm so used to the triangle X. Like that's just such a classic button layout for me.
Yeah.
But I did, like I said, I like the controller. I've still always liked that spaced out D-pad they have. Never had an issue with that for any games. I mean, if I wasn't using like an NES style, I just like I'm fine with something like that. Like it's a great D-pad. They had that weird little touchscreen thing on there. That was new,
And the
but not bad.
speaker that freaked me out the first time I
Yeah.
played. I think I played like Grand Theft Auto. I played Grand Theft Auto 5, and I'm sitting there driving around listening to the radio, and then like someone's calling me or something like that, and it's coming through the speaker of my controller, and I'm like, what the hell's that sound? I'm like, what the hell? And I realized it was the speaker in the controller. I totally didn't
Yeah.
realize it.
And I wonder, that's kind of a throwback almost like to the Wii, even,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember playing a couple of the horror games on there. Like it was one, The Calling, that the main thing in it was having the cell phone, and it would like ring, and these ghosts would talk to you like on the speaker on the Wiimote, and that was like really freaky. And it's the same thing on the PlayStation remote. Certain games they use it right, and it's just, I mean, especially in some like the horror games like that, it can really throw you off. And just always a good, just classic feel. I give props. My cat's in the room now visiting, but I give props to both of the companies honestly for their controllers, because I think they're both great.
Indeed, indeed. And I went on Twitter, and I pretty much posted on Twitter. I was like, hey, our next episode, we're going to be talking about the PlayStation 4, some of our memories, and I asked some folks to share some of their memories. And keep in mind, guys, if you're listening to the podcast and you have a question that you want to send us, you can always email us at xsgamingpodcast@gmail.com. But the first one I got is from, and I'm totally going to butcher his username, and I really apologize, because his username is like N, and it has a couple of kanji, like Japanese lettering, and it says at Kuhai no Tenjo. So I hope I did not mispronounce that. But he says, okay, I'll tweet more than once, but here it goes. It says, Bloodborne was the first big experience in the consoles. Ambience, theme, and gameplay was one of the most immersive experiences. I still need to play the DLC. He said, Witcher's 3 launch was so big, I still haven't finished the game. Nier Automata had a launch problem in my region, and I had to wait many months to finally get my hands on it. Also, a very immersive experience. I loved Yoko Toro's work immensely, and it was one of my favorite games. He said, my favorite online experience was Monster Hunter World, even though I didn't finish it because the friend I was playing with stopped talking to me. That's rough. Other than that, I played some solid Japanese hits. There are some I still need to, like the Yakuza series, Persona 5, Death Stranding, Toshima, Final Fantasy VII Remake. That said, I basically hated the Western games aside from a few exceptions. By the way, where is the podcast available? I only know your YouTube. Well, you can check out our podcast on any podcatcher of your choice. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. And if there's a podcatcher that you listen to that we're not on, leave me a message. DM me on Twitter at XSGamingPodcast. Justin, he says, the first game I played was Infamous Second Son. I was able to immediately see the graphic difference versus the original Infamous, and it was my first platinum trophy. I remember being wowed in the combination of graphics and gameplay. But God of War, though, that game was amazing. Vince says Ease 8 just blew me away. DC Radia, Spider-Man on the PS4 was one of my all-time favorites because of this console. And the last one is Simon Stevens. He says, the highlight for me was Uncharted 4. Nothing has topped it for me since. Graphically, it blew me away and turned out to be the best in the series. Horizon Zero Dawn was another pleasant surprise, and I still can't wait to jump back into Forbidden West, best console of this gen. You know what? I can't really deny that. PS4 was just a very special console, and they were talking earlier about the Japanese games. This is really the console that a Japanese market came back. Because I don't know if you remember this, James, but last gen, like the 360 PS3 era, was a very dark time for Japanese companies.
Yeah,
it was like they were trying to cater to the Western audience, but they didn't really know how, and so many games were really empty because of that.
It's like it definitely was a weird time. I can't not speak too about the VR. Having that, considering PlayStation being the only console, that really has that, and me also getting that like a bit late. I bought it from a friend, good deal. It's something I always mean to play more, and I really think a lot of that stuff is going to be like BC with the new systems to where you can use it, because they definitely kept up. Like you can use your old Move controllers from the PS3. You can use them on the PS4. Sometimes you have to get an adapter. Honestly, it's a little bit easier if you actually get the PS4 ones, just because it's easier to charge them. But I think you really need those for the full VR experience. But I mean, I had such a blast. Like I said, I mean, if you like light gun games, I mean, I love them. Like that's the way to play them. Like Gun Club, Lethal VR. I mean, awesome games. I mean, hey, Resident Evil 7. I still actually haven't really played that on the VR, and it's maybe just because I'm like a little bit scared. I don't know.
Do you think we'll see a VR presence with the PS5?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I think that this old stuff is going to be backwards compatible, and honestly, like the VR. Area, like it's still pretty big. Like you don't hear about it a lot, but if you look on the store, there's really a lot of games, and I mean they're still coming out. There's all like I said, if you just want to ride a roller coaster, I mean, especially now, you might not want to go to a theme park. Roller coaster thing is fucking it's really great. There's like a Aspen experience where you're out on Mount Everest. I think you're out on there. Like it's lots of cool ones. A lot of them are really cheap, but I think you'll be able to use the old equipment. I think they'll keep it going. I think it's a niche audience, but there's still lots of like really cool games they can do. And we're talking about wrestling earlier. I also have to mention like Fire Pro.
Yeah,
because Fire Pro World was only on PlayStation. It actually has a New Japan license, and a lot of the guys that are in AEW now, like Kenny and the Young Bucks, they're actually on that game too. And if you're looking something to play in the meantime, it's still a great game. It is one of those that's it may be not super easy to play. Like to me, it makes sense. It is hard to master, but you can still go on there and have a blast. Just doing a regular match, and have like a good time. I like to do the death matches with exploding light bulbs and barbed wire and shit. Like they actually have that on there, like I think, which is pretty amazing. But it's still like a fun game, and like only on the PS5, which was kind of a shame. Like that would have been a good one to pop up on other systems, I think.
Indeed. And before we close in the PS4 talk and get into games we've been playing, James, if you could recommend one PS4 game to someone right now who's listening who hasn't jumped on the PS4 bandwagon, who have been like, I'll just wait till they come out with the PS5, then I'll get a PS4 Pro. What game would you recommend?
Man, I'd probably have to go with I'd probably just have to go with the Yakuza game still, because they really did keep them alive. I'll say go with Yakuza Kiwami 2. Maybe try that one out, you know?
I see, because I was thinking of Yakuza as well, and I'd be like 0.
See, 0. See, I could see that because that would be in the start. Like me, I still go back to like the first one I played, you know, being Yakuza, but then, you know, 2 had like a bit more love. So I was like,
oh yeah,
maybe that would be, and that's still more of a personal choice, you know. Where I mean, there's so many good ones, you know, like I said, like a game like God of War. It's only on PlayStation. I mean, you really can't go wrong with that. I still want to play the Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, always heard about that.
Same.
Never played it. And like we said, just, you know, PlayStation and Yakuza just like went together for so long. Like I said, it determined me getting a PS3. It really made me stick with the PS4. And now it's on, you know, Xbox, like which is, it's pretty crazy to see it finally cross over. But for so long, it was so weird, synonymous.
It's so weird that Like a Dragon came out on the Series X before it came out on PS5. That's really weird.
That is just a strange step in gaming, but it goes to show you how far like Yakuza has come, you know. Like I said, it's you know, we're talking more about the PS4, but I mean, it was just, they were so synonymous. Like I said, with 5 coming out, even on you know, PS3, that was a fight. You know, it was like they talked to fans to see like what foreign games do you want to see, because PlayStation, you know, did push to get more of those games, you know, on American systems, and that was the one, man, that was, you know, not at the top of the list, but it was damn on the list, and it sure ended up coming out.
And it. Yeah, I was saying it skyrocketed RGG Studios. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy, and I think that's a good way to get into games we've been playing, because Yakuza, Like a Dragon. Now, how far have you gotten into it, James?
Man, I'm not that far. I was off Thursday and I was playing like I was off Wednesday for the holiday. Happy Veterans Day! Thank you to all the veterans out there. I was off that day, and that was when they came out.
Yeah.
Or actually, it was the day before, so I downloaded some and got to play them that day. I did not get to play as much as I wanted to, just because it's some super, super long days at work, to where it was like, you know, it's like I got home at like 11. I was like, I think I'm going to eat something and go to bed. But yeah, I'm not very far, but I did play a bit. I'm thinking you might have got further than I did.
Yeah, right now I'm on chapter 3. And I will say, you know, for folks that are wondering about playing this, I will say it does start out kind of slow. But there's a lot of... because, you know, this is a pretty much a reboot of the Yakuza series. What I mean by that is, like, you know, we have a new protagonist, we have new characters, we have, you know, eventually a new setting, a new, you know, because it does take place in Komarocho in the beginning, but then you end up in another place. So there's a lot to soak in the first couple of chapters. And, you know, I think like chapter 1, other than, you know, the chances that you have to run around and get into fights, I think you only have like maybe 2 fights in chapter 1. There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of fighting.
Because I've only had 2, maybe like 3 fights.
Yeah.
So I think I might have got right out of chapter 1.
You know, I'm now to the point where I'm starting to have people in my party, and you know, because the characters that you meet to become your friends, they actually follow you around, and it becomes more. It's a JRPG, so it feels more like a JRPG with party members. I have like this homeless guy, and he's kind of like a mage. It's funny because he's got like an umbrella that he uses as a staff, and he does stuff like throws breadcrumbs at people, and he get attacked by pigeons, you know, stuff like that. And he can heal people because he used to be a nurse. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but you know, stuff like that. Like every character kind of has a classification, certain kind of job that you see in an RPG, but they Yakuzafy it. You know, so I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I've really been enjoying it. I've actually been playing it in English because I was really impressed with the Judgment's English dubbing. I was like, you know, I was kind of apprehensive at first because, you know, I'm so used to playing the Yakuza games in Japanese with subtitles. But I was like, you know, Judgment is a little different than your standard Yakuza game. I'm going to play it in English, and I was really impressed. So with Like a Dragon, I was kind of the same way. I'm like, you know, this isn't, you know, the normal Yakuza. I'm going to play it in English. And plus, sometimes it's a lot easier, especially with some of those long cinematics. It's a lot easier to listen to while you're like doing something else. Because like I would be, I had the wash machine right by my area that I was playing video games. So I was like loading in laundry while I was like listening to like what was going on. So that made things a little easier.
Yeah, I could see that because I always do the Japanese language. Like I started on this one too. Like it's what I've been used to, but I
Yeah.
can really see that, and maybe helping changing a little bit. Yeah, for me, and like I said, maybe it's because I took a sabbatical. Like I didn't finish Judgment. I didn't finish Part 6. I just like there was just a lot of Yakuza, and I'm used to having one every couple of years.
Oh
So it
yeah.
was kind of an overload for me. So I kind of had to just take a break and playing like a dragon. Like I'm just kind of like wanting to run up and punch people, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I haven't played a Yakuza game in like a while, and I'm like, man, I don't know. Like I might have to go back to 6. Like I appreciate this one. Like I said, it's still Yakuza,
Oh,
and I could
I still,
definitely.
yeah, I was about to say, I think you really need to finish 6. Because man, that's a really good one.
I do, and like I said, this very well just might make me go back. Plus, I have my PlayStation plugged in now. Recently, I changed the switch on the back of the TV, but like I said, it's still Yakuza, and it's still great. And I think this could even open it to different audiences. It's kind of like
Yeah.
if you look at a game, like hey, if you're given Dragon Quest or Final Fight, like I don't know, like which one are you gonna play? Like if you pick Dragon Quest, which is a big focus on this game too,
Mm-hmm.
if you're likely to pick that one, you might really like a Dragon because it has that wackiness of Yakuza. Still has the kick-ass fights. It's just a different way of doing it. And I'm not opposed to RPGs. It's just it's not my normal style. But like I'm still digging this game. I'm not completely sold on the protagonist yet, but I get the feeling we're going to see him grow and change because he's kind of a whiny little turd right now, but he
Yeah.
has a good heart. He has
Yeah,
a good heart.
the more you play and the more you'll get into the chapters, you'll really start to like him. Because I was the same way at first. I was just kind of like, oh, he when I first was playing, it kind of made me go back to when we played Yakuza 4.
Hmm.
Because you didn't start out as Kiro in Yakuza 4, and it was like you're
Yeah.
playing as this new guy, and you're just kind of like, before you got to really know him, you were kind of like, okay, I'm just waiting to get done with this guy so I can go back being the dragon of
Yeah.
Komorocho, and that doesn't happen in this one, but it's like he's a good character. He's got a lot of personality, a lot of layers. I mean, by the time you get to chapter 3, that's when the game really starts to soar off. And I usually hate using that term because I hate the term of like, oh, a game gets good the more you play it, but it really does. Like it really gets good after chapter 3. And I'm hearing like at chapter 6, I'm hearing chapter 6 is when the battle system gets really crazy, and I've had a lot of friends tell me, "Hey, by the time you get to chapter 6, get a lot of health potions." I'm like, "Okay, all right. Don't tell me anymore, but I'll get a lot of health potions." So that I'm going to start doing like just crazy grinding, just fighting and just leveling up as much as I can before I get to that chapter because I'm kind of scared now, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's kind of daunting. It's a game. This is one I really wonder. Like I said, I made a choice to stop Yakuza 6 with the intention of always going back to it. Same with Judgment. That's another one. Like I'm also gonna finish. This is one I kind of wonder at the end. I'm like, hey, am I gonna make it all the way through? Which is kind of cool that they did make it a new story, and I think that's why because it is a new style of gameplay and you don't want to put Kirio or classic characters in there and have those longtime fans of that one style maybe be like, man, I don't know, like I don't know how long I'm gonna make it through this one. Like so I'm gonna try, but it's a good chance I'm just not gonna finish it.
Indeed, indeed. And other than that, what have you been playing other than Like a Dragon?
Well, going back to Until Dawn, I did play the new Dark Pictures game, Little Hope. Which is really it's fun. And, it's still that style. You got many different characters. My wife actually sat and watched me play it for a bit. This one's kind of based more on the Salem witch trials.
Nice.
Like you're on a little tour and your bus crashes. You play as all the characters. You explore this town, and it has flashbacks. And it's not really giving away anything of the flashbacks. The characters in there. Sometimes you interact with end up looking like all the characters in your group. So I don't know if it's just some kind of like mind trip or it's connected, they're relatives. I don't know. But I've really been enjoying that. And the new remake of 13 finally came out after a year.
I heard the graphics to 13. I heard a lot of people were kind of complaining about that.
Well, it still has the look to me. Okay, I mean, like I said, I was waiting for it for so long. I was like, I had to get it. It was a little bit more than I thought it would be. It was $50, which I guess that's better than 60. I was kind of hoping maybe it'd be like a $40 one. And I'd waited for a while, and I play it, and I kind of dig it because I love the old one, but it really makes me want to play the old one. Even in the meantime, because I have it on Xbox, but my Xbox doesn't play discs anymore. It's very, very finicky. But you can get it on GameCube and PS2 for pretty cheap. So I thought about getting the old one again in the meantime. But, by the time the new one came out, I was like, well, I'll just get this. And like I said, I mean, to me, the graphics are still okay. It doesn't look... They're cartoony, but not as cel-shaded. That was the thing that always stood out. It kind of has this new cartoony look. I could see people not digging it. I think a lot of people just wanted like a more crisper cartoon cel shade look. Maybe that's what we really wanted. But I'm gonna jump back into it again. I was gonna go and I played it for a little bit, and then played Yakuza, and then I also played Little Hope a little bit more. I was kind of going between the 3 games on my day off. But I mean, like I said, so far it's not bad. It's one I'll talk about more in the next episode because I want to get further into it. Or like I said, I might just end up getting a copy of the old one and playing that. I don't know. Maybe wait for a sale on that one, unless you're just really, really into it.
Indeed, and I covered a lot of games that I was playing in my last episode of a kind of a reboot series, because I've always had a series about games I've been playing on my YouTube channel, which you guys can check out on youtube.com/Xander Skullion in case you're not listening to the podcast on YouTube. But I changed the title to Play and Tell. I thought Play and Tell just sounded a lot better than games I've been playing. But I talked a lot about those games, but I've been playing some other games since I made that episode. I did recently buy No More Heroes, which I covered on that episode, but I just recently bought No More Heroes 2, which I had never played. And I started playing that a little bit yesterday. I didn't play much of it because I was playing it at work and I had some customers come in, so I kind of put it down, so I got to pick it back up. But it seemed to be leaps and bounds graphically. It looked a lot better than No More Heroes, which I still like the way No More Heroes looked. And also been playing this other like 8-bit style game called A Whole New World on Switch. And it's a side-scrolling platformer. You're playing as the Potion Master. You're playing as this sorceress guy that throws potions and kills bad guys. It's side-scrolling kind of Castlevania-like. But then what makes this game really different is there's no pitfalls. There are pitfalls in the game, but when you fall down the pits, you're in an upside down world. Like everything's upside down, and there's more enemies that you have to kill, and then so it almost becomes like a puzzle element because there's certain areas you can't get into one world, so you have to go down the pitfall and go into upside down world, and it's kind of getting some used to. I gotta get kind of used to playing upside down, like that's kind of weird, but I got it on the Switch for like 97 cents, so I can't really complain too much. And normally a game that cheap, because it was on sale, it was like 90% off, I'm kind of apprehensive about, because, the Switch has a lot of cheap games, and some of them aren't that good. So it's just kind of like rolling the dice, but like, am I getting a deal getting this game this cheap, or am I getting what I pay for?
Man. Oh, dude, I bought a game like that on the Xbox. It was like some karate game, or it was like, it was called like Kung Fu Arcade. I don't even know how to play it, and apparently it at some point was like $40, and I got it for $1. And I mean it's fucking awful. Like I can't remember any game I've played recently that like it's so bad. Like I want to go back to it again. And like, am I missing something? Like I'm not sure. But there are always lots of great games. I have a better experience on the Switch as far as cheap games, and I'll throw out one other thing too. Playing Like a Dragon did make me go back again and start watching the Outrage movies, which I always love. And like honestly, if you're a fan of the Yakuza series, you really got to watch these. The director, Takeshi Kitano, he was even in Yakuza 6 as one of the smaller bosses in one of the other towns. But he's made many Yakuza movies actually, but he has this Outrage series, and to me, it's one of the closest things where it has this humor, but it also has this hardcore violence. People getting their faces slashed, some dude trying to cut his finger off with a box cutter, but it's not working, and it's actually a funny scene. But if you love the Yakuza series and the humor, like, you got to check out the Outrage. There's 3 of them: Outrage, Beyond Outrage, which I think are the best 2, and then there's Outrage Coda, which was another movie I waited for a very long time, much like some of the Yakuza games, to see, because it came out, and I didn't have a region-free player at the time, so I had to wait for the U.S. release. And it was one I also liked too, but like not quite as much. But as I started Outrage again, I'm going to watch the series, and of course I'm gonna finish it and judge it again. But I mean, I think they're awesome. Like I said, if you love the game, you should really, really check out this movie series.
Yeah, and also you just reminded me, in the English voice acting category of Like a Dragon, George Takei actually is a voice actor in the game, and he plays he plays the Yakuza boss, the chairman, and he's, man, whew, it's great. Like, he does such a good job. I was like, and he's got such a recognizable voice that at first I was playing it and I'm like, who is that? That guy sounds familiar. And I looked it up and it was him, and I'm like, oh no shit, that's awesome. I will say, like a Dragon's English voice acting is really, really good. And for some of the folks that haven't played the Yakuza series, has always been kind of on the fence about it, I would say this: if you like JRPGs, definitely try Like a Dragon. And if you're apprehensive about dubs, don't worry about it. The English voice acting is really, really good. The dub's really good. So, I probably need to go back and play a little bit in Japanese too, because I haven't really heard Ichiban, the new guy. I haven't really heard his Japanese voice too much, which is really weird. Like, because now when I see him, I hear the English voice.
Yeah, he just kind of, like, I just remember he's like whining a lot. I don't know, maybe he whines a lot too when he's pushing around the young master. He's always just like, he's just got like, I'm like, dude, like chill out.
Oh yeah, the freaking young master, man. Like, wow, that scene where he's just like, I'm gonna stand up now. That's all I'm gonna say. Have you got to that part?
Yeah. No, I saw his superpowers.
Yeah,
then he gets his heart broken.
Oh yeah, there's so much to this game. Like, I am telling you, it's got a really good story. But
like I said, the story definitely grabbed me. I mean, it makes, like, I'm not, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not giving up on it. Like I said, I wonder how far, I will get. And who knows, like I said, I might stop and just jump back into some of the older games. I might need to kick a little ass.
I will say, because I know a little bit more about Like a Dragon, and I'm not going to spoil too much, but you got to finish 6. You got to finish that, man. You got to play it and finish it. Cuz that's such a good, and I think it's fitting. I mean, you're the Yakuza guy. you got to see the end of it.
Yeah, no, I do. Like I said, like, maybe sometimes it's just a personal like hold off from, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me not wanting it to end again. Just going back to that.
Oh, indeed. And anything else you want to add to our PS4 talk before we close things up?
I mean, no, it's a great system. I think it would overall, if I had to pick, even though I play a bit more of the X1 now, I'd still pick PlayStation over it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, VR is still awesome. It's still fun if you can find a set, for a good deal, and you've been skeptical about it. Like, I highly recommend it, especially if you love light gun games. Because, I mean, that's the way to do it. It is very immersive, and it's kind of mind-blowing when you first, try it out. It's like, wow. But it is a hassle, with the extra cords and the moves. And, it's just, it's a process to play. But, yeah. I mean, it is really great. And, I'm glad they put that. They're still putting out games for it. And like I said, we've got still a long ways to go with these systems before we have to jump into the next ones. But it's great to see them out. And like I said, I hope people have a good time with them. And
again, I tell folks, if you haven't jumped on the PS4, now's the time to do it. I mean, there's going to be tons of crazy Black Friday sales, tons of sales. I mean, Sony hasn't, even though the PS5's out, and hasn't even been out a week yet, I don't see Sony slowing down too much with the PS4 in the near future, especially you know, because of the huge user base it has. It has one of the biggest user bases in video game consoles. So I think the PS4 is probably going to have another couple years before they decide to, you know, slow down production. So yeah, right now, best time to get some of those games that you haven't played, like Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 7 Remake, or you know, Bloodborne, freaking Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I mean, so many great games.
The whole Uncharted series. You know? I mean,
God of War, Spider-Man. So much.
You can play Batman on VR even. That's one too.
But yeah, guys, this is going to conclude another episode of XS Gaming Podcast. Again, if you have anything you want to say to us, like a suggestion, a question, you can email us at xsgamingpodcast@gmail.com. And again, this podcast is available on all your favorite podcatchers of choice, as iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify. And if there's a podcatcher, just hit me up on Twitter at xsgamingpodcast on Twitter. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for listening, and as always, happy gaming.
Have a pleasant evening, and go watch Outrage.
Indeed. And oh yeah, and happy Thanksgiving, because by the time we come back, Thanksgiving will be over. So I hope you guys have a very safe, wonderful Turkey Day.
Definitely. Hang up some Christmas decorations, too, if your heart so pleases.